Welcome back to another episode of Secondhand. I'm Wayne.
I'm angry, Brandon.
Don't know why you're angry.
Uh,
Yeah.
Mr. J
Uh,
inspired.
I'm sorry?
Mr. J inspired.
I got you. Uh, so, um, when we last left off was kind of like a rambling, just, we were all over the place.
My bad.
Brandon started plugging shows that don't even exist yet.
Didn't mean to.
Uh, but he brought up an interesting topic, which kind of sticks to our myths and legends, is the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So you brought it up. What are your thoughts?
I don't really have thoughts on it. I just think it's a really interesting place. They say that it's the magnetism messes with navigation and whatnot, and I'm just like, well, that still doesn't explain how old ships who didn't have navigation systems back in the day were lost there as well.
Like, do you believe that there is this area within the coordinates of the Bermuda Triangle that is just like a massive graveyard of planes and ships?
Yeah. Why wouldn't there be?
I don't know.
There's countless vessels that have disappeared throughout the fucking centuries in that place. So,
but there's also countless vessels that have made it through
right,
that place unscathed.
right.
So is it human error? Is it something supernatural? Is it selectively supernatural?
That is the question. I don't know enough about the topic. It piqued your interest, which is why I wanted to bring it up.
I mean, I've read several things on the Bermuda Triangle, and I've also seen a lot of and read a lot of Hollywood romanticized stories about the Bermuda Triangle. Like, for example, I mean, this is taking it throwback to my childhood, but there was an episode of DuckTales when I was a kid that they actually got trapped in the Bermuda Triangle on Scrooge McDuck's ship. And there was like this whole colony of all of the people actually lost in the Bermuda Triangle, living on this island that was made up of all the ships and planes that were wrecked in there. And eventually they made their way out, because the DuckTales crew can get out of anything.
Yes.
But
money does that.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, even just like visually, I mean, my mind just goes right to the visual interpretation of this as like this massive, like shipwrecked island where there's just skeletons of warships and pirate ships and slave ships, merchant ships, airplanes, helicopters, yachts that are just beached and strewn throughout an island chain, to which it's like this dense fog-covered, eerie, Silent Hill-looking, just fucking creepy graveyard.
Damn, you went video game on my ass.
Yeah. But, it's just one of those things. It's like everybody interprets it their own way. And obviously, there's not too many people that have the balls to actually try to find this graveyard in the Bermuda Triangle. Me personally, if I didn't have a kid, I'd be all for it. I would so fucking try to find that shit.
Take a pirate ship and off you go.
Yeah, because I am literally that intrigued by it.
Well, honestly, if you think about it, it would actually be a treasure hunt.
Absolutely, because, I mean, you figure all those ships were carrying something.
Yeah.
There's got to be valuables of some sort, if not just the information of the latitude and longitude of this graveyard in and of itself
is worth millions.
Fucking treasure.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, one of my favorite childhood books is The Hobbit. And I've read this book dozens, if not 100 times. And every time I've read it, my brain has developed and manipulated what I picture all of these scenes and characters to be. And then Hollywood fucking raped me of that innocence.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this story of The Hobbit does not actually exist, I can get over that.
Mm-hmm.
Still a little bitter about it. But for an actual place that has claimed so many lives and vessels, both airborne and seafaring, to physically see this wreckage, to see how it would compare up against my visual interpretation of it, I think would just blow my fucking mind.
I have a simple solution to anybody who doubts whether it exists or not. Real simple. The question makes it simple. Simply, the movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. Okay, what happened?
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie. What happened? He was in
That's
a
why I don't
plane.
send my shit FedEx anymore.
Yeah, don't trust him. Tom Hanks is using it with his volleyball. But the plane crashed, and he's on an island, and nobody finds him. If you can believe that that is actually a real thing, even in this day and age, then you got to believe that the Bermuda Triangle graveyard exists.
Hell, by that rationale, how not to believe that Skull Island exists?
Agree with that.
Another one of our
there
myths.
are countless documented historical things that happened where people have been stranded on fucking islands and nobody found them for years on end.
Fucking poor Gilligan.
Yeah. I mean, a 3-hour tour, for the love of God.
They were that fucking close to Hawaii and nobody found them for, what, like 30 seasons?
Yeah. No one thought that through, did they?
No. But what never fucking got me, and this always fucked me up, is they wind up on this island in the first fucking place, all right?
Mm-hmm.
They finally managed to escape after numerous seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go back out on a ship.
Yep.
And wind up at the same fucking island. I would have just fucking stabbed the skipper with a fucking bamboo shoot at that point.
You ate too much, die.
Like, I think he intentionally stranded those people there just so he had friends.
I agree with that. Or maybe he liked
Fan
Gilligan.
theory.
Maybe he liked Gilligan that much that he knew Gilligan couldn't make friends, and that's why he did it. He stranded them all there so that way Gilligan would make friends.
And in that time period, homosexuality was frowned upon. So,
yeah. So there you go.
What better way to come out than on an island?
We just solved Gilligan's Island.
Fuck.
Sooner or later, Gilligan would have gotten laid. Sooner or later, the captain would have gotten laid.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Just the sheer scientific mathematics of it is, yeah.
Like, it's bound to happen. It's going to get there, okay? The captain is not always going to be fat, okay? You're on a deserted island.
I mean,
he's got a lot of food.
You want to talk about myths and legends here.
Yeah.
But, yeah. We completely segued into our other show. Just sorry about that, folks. We'll cover this on an episode of Warm Yogurt at another time. Sorry for the interruption. Back to the Bermuda Triangle.
Wow. I just asked a question. I just asked if you can believe that people are deserted on stranded islands and they're not found for years, which is a thing, which is documented.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously the Bermuda Triangle as the graveyard has to exist as well.
But see, the question that I posed was, is this a small island chain?
Or is it the Devil's Hole?
No, I mean, think about it. Like, could the sandbanks just have been at low tide, been just barely visible? Is the fog just right to where these ships beached and stranded, wrecked? Did something happen in actual open water to where they sank? What I'm proposing is
Rogue waves.
my visual interpretation of this is a small island chain that is essentially a naval and aircraft graveyard for sheer nature facts, as compared to the most likely reality of it is all of these vessels are in fact submerged in open water and scattered throughout open water.
Sure.
But my visual interpretation of it is this island chain that are, and as morbid as this fucking sounds, artistically would be fucking beautiful to see.
Yeah. As I understand it, isn't the Bermuda Triangle near pretty much any hurricane area?
Safe to say that, yes.
So,
I mean, I'm no meteorologist, but typically all the hurricanes tend to happen in that area.
But also, there have been well-documented cases of rogue waves, which is a wave literally comes out of nowhere and engulfs a fucking ship.
Yep.
It would be safe to assume that not necessarily some supernatural thing or selective killing, but literal Mother Nature just caught him at the right time.
I mean, and you figure meteorological advances in science, when the majority of these events happened, they weren't there.
Yeah.
Think about it. Really think about it. Most recently, even within the past 30 years, have you heard of a ship or a plane disappearing in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I haven't.
Yeah. Sailboats.
Think about sailboats, okay?
Yeah, they use wind power. Yeah, you're saying that there's not a lot of technology on the sailboat.
Right. One.
Well, yeah.
Two.
Also, we have been going through the Bermuda Triangle to this date with no problems.
Right. That's the point that I'm trying to get here. Is there has to be some explanation?
Well, they say, as I understand it, what I got from some of the documentaries that I have watched is that there's a magnetism issue where it messes with the fucking
compass.
Compass, yeah. Where they get switched around, they run out of fucking fuel, things like that. There's apparently a lot of lightning in the area.
Theory.
Huh?
I said that kind of kills your sailboat theory.
No,
sailboats don't run on fuel.
No, I'm not saying fuel. What the fuck does that have to do with the...
You said get turned around and run out of fuel and... Shut up.
Not everything that goes into the Bermuda Triangle gets shut down, is what I'm getting at. And even to this day, there are people that go missing within the Bermuda Triangle, still keeping the theory alive. It's just not everybody.
Or people could use that as an excuse to disappear.
Hey, that's a possibility too. Why not?
Look how many tropical island chains are down that direction to where you don't ever have to see another human face ever again in life if you don't want to.
Yep.
You could easily change your name to anything and
Raul.
Start a whole new life.
Yeah. It'd be Raul Rodriguez.
Right.
Yeah, it's possible. There's a number of factors that are probability. I'm just saying that whatever there's type of myth and legend around something that makes everybody fear it, they stay away from it. And it creates that romanticism that Hollywood creates for us, which makes it even worse. So, what might have been a few ships that got lost at sea in the olden days turned into legend and myth which created a whole harbinger of doom in the area, which then, once again, we've had anomalies that happen with our planes and our advanced warships getting lost and so on and so forth, till eventually, now technology has beaten it. The stigma's still there. And occasionally a ship does go missing and they just attribute it to the stigma. It's just there. It happened. It's evil. Which I agree with you. The technology probably beat it.
Do you think that maybe the idea of unexplained disasters is enough to create a situation to believe in?
Yeah.
To where maybe people just enjoy believing in the unexplained. Strictly for entertainment value.
Well, it's the same thing with any type of pirate's lost treasure.
Any type of what?
Pirate's lost treasure.
Okay.
All right. If someone hears about it enough, people start looking for it. And it's a beautiful thing. Can you imagine what would happen if you found it? Well, the same thing happens with disasters. It's just the opposite effect. People want to stay away from it, but they're fucking drawn to it like a magnet.
Yeah, like they don't want to believe that there is a logical explanation.
There's an actual rational explanation, and thus they'd rather keep the mystique behind it. Because that's what we do.
Man, that sounds like some Scooby-Doo shit.
That is some Scooby-Doo shit. Now, where's my fucking blunt, and where's my dog? He's missing.
I'm just saying. I mean, think about like every episode of Scooby-Doo. It's the same fucking thing. Old Man Withers in the amusement park. He just wants to keep his shit to himself.
Yeah.
So he creates this fucking monster to scare people away so he doesn't have to deal with them.
Which is probably what happens with a lot of the myths and legends that we talked about in the previous episodes. The unexplained becomes the danger, which becomes romanticized, which becomes mystique, which in turn makes people do both love it and stay away from it because they don't want to know the answer.
However,
because the answer is usually boring.
However, you always have to have an old guy in a costume ready to scare people off just in case they get too close to the truth.
Because of those meddling kids. Yeah, for all we know, the fucking United States government could have a massive fucking base in the Bermuda Triangle. They just don't want anybody to fucking be there. Area 52.
We are not going to get into that. I have already considered that conspiracy theory, and I intentionally steered away from it.
Because it'll ruin the mystique.
No, I just didn't want to get you on an Illuminati fucking binge.
No, I don't buy that whole conspiracy theory shit where Rothschilds rule the world or everything like that with the Illuminati looming over with the basins and so on and so forth.
Anyway. Bermuda Triangle.
No, I'm just saying that there probably is a rational explanation.
You got to keep him on track.
There probably is a rational explanation for the Bermuda Triangle. There were a lot of hints, and a lot of people believe that there was a magnetism issue where they fucked up with their compasses and a lot of other things and electronics and so on and so forth. But due to today's technology, we probably beat it, which makes us be able to frequently go through it much easier. Because I imagine with the amount of planes that are in the sky at any given time, how many times do we fly over that fucking thing? Right. And we get reported every time a plane gets crashed, so.
Yeah. But I told you my thoughts. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Now, we've heard all of the stories of the Bermuda Triangle since we were kids, and then some. What do you think the inside of the Bermuda Triangle looks like? What is your visual interpretation of it?
The Caribbean. I think it's just the Caribbean. Another chain of isles. Where I think what you said is true, where the water rises and falls. Where what was once not land turns into land and then goes back into not land, water. A tide, if you will. Well, not if you will, a literal tide. So I think. And I think, like anything, it's taboo to go there. I mean, the biggest fucking group of people in the world that do not like bad omens or any type of strange mojo is any sailor.
I agree with that.
Any type of thing that they see that's just bad for business in any way, they want out.
Sailors are probably some of the most superstitious.
That's where I
Of
look for.
all
Yeah,
people.
superstitious. Yeah, absolutely.
And as you know, like one of my biggest goals in life is actually to move to the Caribbean, live out my life on a boat, and that's that.
Mhm.
And I'm working on getting my captain's license and whatnot, but looking more into it and reading the stories
Wait, what?
and the myths. Yeah. I'm working on getting my captain's license.
Dude, no way,
But
that's awesome.
yeah,
I'm not going out with you for a 3-hour tour, so just saying.
don't worry, you're not as attractive as Bob Denver.
All right, that's fine.
But reading the stories and the myths and like I've actually delved into like sailor lore, pirate lore, like even as far as like the tattoos on sailors and naval and pirates, all of their tattoos actually meant something.
Yes.
And
what's that? The old type of tattooing back in the day, where the wood thing and
their attire served a purpose.
Yeah.
They were literally that superstitious.
Yeah.
And even modern sailors, no matter your belief system, whether you believe in any of these myths or legends that we've discussed, a lot of them just steer away from the stigma. No matter how non-superstitious a sailor is, most of them will not travel through the Bermuda Triangle. Some sailors will specifically not get a tattoo just because of its meaning until that meaning is significant. Because it's almost like a bad omen. It's like you're lying to yourself, which is always a bad fucking omen to begin with. But it's of all the people that I've talked to and met over the years and the stories that I've read, I find that sailors are absolutely probably the most superstitious people in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe a lot of nautical mythology has deep-seated truth to it. So that's why, honestly, like I said, the Bermuda Triangle has always been an interesting subject matter for me. Just is.
I just don't envision it as a graveyard. I think what you said is correct. Everything is under the water.
And see, that's the most likely probability.
And they're spread out.
However,
I don't think everybody just died in the same fucking spot.
Right. But obviously, you know how this fucking brain works.
Yeah.
I have this whole visual interpretation and my own artistic romanticization of what I think it looks like.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to actually have you do a painting of that.
As much as I would love to,
Uh-huh.
I don't think I could bring myself to do it.
Because then that ends the romanticism.
It does.
Yeah.
Because the more I read about it and the more I talk about it and the stories that I hear and everything, it manipulates my vision a little more. You know, it's like I'm the type of artist that once it's on canvas, on paper, whatever, it's done. I can't go back into a drawing and change anything. I can't go back into a painting and add something.
Right.
I can't do it. It just, once it's done, it's done. And if I put that down, I can no longer manipulate my own vision.
Because it's set in
And
stone.
right, because this is how I've already conceived it,
Right.
which makes it, and as an artist, that is actually extremely difficult personality trait because I've found myself looking at paintings and drawings that I've done over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, fuck, I wanted to add that right there.
Tell me about it. You know how
And
difficult it is to write fucking books and then go back and you're like, I shouldn't have put that there.
I've found myself redrawing something and adding it in
Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't work.
and not being happy with it.
Yep. It's too late. It's done.
Or I was so pleased with the original that when I do the new version, I like the new version so much better. And it's like, I've just completely cheated myself out of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it.
Fair enough.
And I think just the unknown quality of it lets everybody romanticize about it in their own way.
I agree. I get the feeling that, like, you put pen to paper on that one, you might ruin it for not just you, but for everybody.
Right. And I mean, like I said, Hollywood has already done their fair share of romanticizing that has ruined a lot of things for a lot of people.
You
And
think maybe it's a part of our innocence, like our childhood is still there, and that's one of them. And I get the feeling like if we would be cheating ourselves by ruining a bit of our innocence more by doing that, like if we actually solve that might actually be the answer to a lot of these questions, which are simply, we don't want that kid self, that last kid self.
Right. Like we don't want to
ruined.
find out
Yeah.
that this shit doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We just want to keep believing in it. It's
Well,
like
yeah.
the whole fucking Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the
I
Tooth Fairy.
love the idea of werewolves and vampires existing. That would be fucking awesome. I want to live in that world.
that is literally the equivalent of Santa Claus.
I want to live in that world, and I want to talk to him, and I want to see which side I want to be on. I want to make that real. I want to make that a reality. I want to be a part of that. But then the logical side kicks in, and I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Like, you're stewing hatred. I hate you. Get away.
Yeah.
That's why I told you, and I think it was the first episode, I'm just like, I want to believe that the Loch Ness Monster is real. Because that is fucking awesome. And despite me saying with my logical mind, oh, blah, 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 with, can it survive? Fuck that shit. I don't care. I'm going to keep believing that it might actually exist.
Is that too much to ask?
No, that's a part of my childhood that I grew up on. I love it. I'm going to keep it that way.
I like it. Do you know what? Honestly, I think that in and of itself really brings our mythological conversation full circle.
We solve. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I think that whether it exists or not
is irrelevant.
Is actually exactly. It is completely irrelevant. It's a matter of the individual. Do you want to believe it exists, or?
Yeah, I enjoy chaining myself down to reality and logic when it matters, but certain things just don't fucking matter. So I don't need to chain myself down to that. I've got enough of that bullshit. Like, my kids are growing up. That's reality. I'm chained to that, and I fucking can't stand it. But my brain always goes back to, I've held my kids. I've played video games with my kids in my laps while they tried to take out some people in PvP and World of Warcraft. Sitting on my knee, watching my 12-year-old, who was then a year old, eating grass in the backyard. That's something, yeah, I know they're growing up, but I don't want to believe it. I think that's what a lot of parents are like. They just don't want to. We don't want to grasp that because it takes that away from us. And I think that can be interpreted to a lot of other things that we're discussing that just don't matter, whether it's true or not. It's irrelevant. It's something that we want to hold on to because it makes us who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it though. As artists and screenwriters here, if we didn't have some semblance of belief that any of these creatures existed,
We'd be bored. We'd be boring.
Where would our subject matter lie?
Yeah, it wouldn't have an imagination. I'd be writing about reality-based stuff, and that just wouldn't be any fun.
Right.
Damn, I think we actually hit an epiphany mark. Like that sent a shiver down my spine a little bit. That was great. I like
Yeah. Well, wow. I'm kind of speechless now.
Me too. I think that means it's time to end this.
Yeah, I think so. So,
For now.
I'm sure we'll travel back down this road again soon.
I'm sure we will.
Because there's still a lot to cover.
Oh, yeah. Loads.
So, I guess until next time, keep believing whatever you believe in.
Fucking right.
Don't let anybody take that shit away from you.
Damn right.
And on a more personal note, I want to say, don't trust this motherfucker with your golden chocobo.
You know what?
Until next time.
We're going to warm yogurt,
Until
bitch.
next time.
We're going to warm yogurt.
I'm Wayne.
And I'm Brandon. I'm going after him in warm yogurt next. See ya.
See ya.